when you press the start broadcasting button, then you go live. At 3:30. Yeah. So start broadcasting when you will do, right? That's what I do. I can start my chat around 4 minutes later. I have applied for 4,68,000 loan. Can I get without any collateral certificate? You can get, right? Okay. If you love policy, can get the policy. Credila can get it. What was the registration number? Hmm? 190. Mr. Sai is also here. Rajendra, Sai, Sai is there. Hello, Rajendra, Sai. Hi, how are you? Yeah, I was trying to reach you. Anyway, attendance of 16. I think it is maximum, right? This time. No. What I was saying that like, this is a maximum number what we got till now. जब पॉजिटिव जगह रहते हैं तो उसको भी से ज़्यादा नहीं करना है. 10, 14. कितना? हाँ. वो तो आ गया मैंने देखा. Anyway, it will increase, right? Once the session is on. Right. Right. 53 था वहाँ पे. ओके अभी शायद से कुछ बात करना है क्या जनार्दन सर से?
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, good evening everybody. My name is Janardhan Reddy. I am Director of Impel Overseas. We are into overseas education consulting from the last 8 years. We operate Hyderabad as our base office. First of all, I would like to thank Credila team for arranging this opportunity to interact with students and give and exchange our views about overseas education, options, then the different options they have got in choosing the countries and courses and remaining committed. Yeah. Let me take this opportunity to introduce myself once again. My name is Janardhan Reddy. I'm Director of Impel Overseas. We are a professional consulting company exclusively engaged into overseas education from the last 8 years, based in Hyderabad. We have our offices across India. We operate with 24 offices across India. We have offices in Haryana, Punjab, Delhi, Mumbai, Gujarat, and other places in South India. Basically, here we are to discuss more about the study options the Indian students have got in overseas. Mainly, we discussed today about the main reasons behind a student choosing a study destination well in advance before starting their application process. Basically, any student mainly before deciding upon any country will do about their own analysis about destination and all. But why do a student should think of studying abroad? Why not in India? Basically, say for example, the main reason why students go to USA, because that's where majority of our Indian students do their higher studies. Close to more than 1 lakh students every year go to USA for their higher education. Basically, there are many reasons. We will discuss here a few main important reasons. For example, if you look at United States of America education system, it's one of the world's finest university system with outstanding programs in virtually all fields at the graduate level and also postgraduate level. Excellent programs exist in traditional disciplines as well as professional fields. And the education system in US offers a variety of educational opportunities, right from choosing a university, choosing a course, choosing a destination based upon their choice. I mean, location in the same country. And coming to technology, US universities take pride themselves of being forefront in the technology, research, and technology, and in making the best possible equipment and resources available to their students. Even in other fields apart from science or engineering, students have opportunities to become skilled in using the latest technology to conduct research. Today, today actually in coming to the university, we are talking about the education system in USA. Apart from academic excellence, apart from opportunity of research, US also has got lot of flexibility in terms of education system. Although most programs are highly structured in their specific coursework, requirements must be met. Students will generally be able to find wide variety of course choices to meet those requirements. Students are also allowed to switch to their choice of electives during their course. Such kind of flexibility allows the students to enhance their skills and get better equipped with the future job market requirements. Okay, let's talk about in detail about the intakes and other details which will help the students to understand the US education system better, in a better way. Basically, with the US education system, there are mainly two intakes. Even the Indian students are all familiar about these intakes, the main September intake and the February intake. We call them fall and spring intakes. Basically, students aiming for these intakes has to plan as early as a year ahead these intakes, because a lot of US universities give the admission based on the merit of the application, and also the timing of application is also very important. All the applications are treated on first come first serve basis. So there is a clear importance of timing of all the applications from the students who are planning to enroll in USA for their higher studies. So mainly any student who want to study their higher education have to plan their process at least a year before the aimed intake or the desired intake. So I'll brief you the different steps of the admission process students has to take care about. The students' main process starts from choosing the course and the university where they want to get their admit. So all the US universities follow a standard process of application, which they describe a clear process of applying to all the required documents, which has to be filled in duly and submit the academic credentials, and then attach the financial credentials of the student who is applying and submitting the process. These applications are evaluated at various departments where the respective applications are being sent, and then based on the merit of the applications, the decision will be taken. Once the decision from the university is taken, then it is intimated to the students, and from there the students will start their further process of gearing up for the visa interviews, and again complete preparation has to be taken and care has to be taken in preparing all the documents for visa and preparing themselves for the visa session. Coming to Australian admission process, more or less the admission process thing is similar, but relatively the time taken for the admission process is less because of the simplified process of the Australian admission process. Australian universities have a simpler application and document procedure for the admission. They need fewer documents. They need complete student academic documents, and then the IELTS or TOEFL scores as per the requirement of the university and course. And normally, any application decision will be taken between 2 weeks to 6 weeks normally. And also decisions about scholarships, other fundings will be given at the same time of admission. So, and again, the student actually then prepares for visa, and here in the Australia process, the visa process is a little different from USA. Here, the students need not go for a face-to-face interview. The Australian process follows a clear drop-box system where the student has to put all the academic documents, financial documents, then the other required supporting documents like the IELTS or TOEFL scorecards along with the passports, and then submit the application to the Australian High Commission here in India. Then the Australian High Commission takes an average of 2 weeks time to understand the application of the student and then come up with their own decision. So, more or less we have discussed about the basic summary of both USA and Australia admission and visa process. So here both Australia and USA are offering international students an opportunity to work after their studies. The reason behind is mainly the universities and the country immigration system believes that any international student who have decided to study in their country should have an opportunity to work in the country and get the international exposure, which will enable them for their further employment opportunities in the same country or their home countries. USA allows the student the options of OPT and CPT to work during and after the studies to gain international work experience and international work exposure. Similarly, Australia also encourages the international students after their studies to work in their relevant field with a post-study work option of 2 years visa in their country. This will help the students actually to gain their study relevant experience in the international job market and gain the required skill set to improve their overall job perspectives abroad. So now studying abroad is not the only thing which is related to gaining a qualification abroad. It's more to do with gaining the international perspective of working, gaining knowledge, and improving the skills. So studying in a markets like USA, Australia will help the student to get and understand, get used and understand with the latest and updated technologies and also make them ready for the future job prospects. here I have a small question in the chat. A student wanted to know uh, that he has got an admit from an institute abroad, and he is looking for a loan of close to 4.68 lakhs. So his question is, can he get the loan without any collateral security? Yeah, now actually the banks are now ready to give a loan up to 6 lakhs without collateral security, basing upon their student or their parents' income profile. And definitely, Credila team can help you in understanding the requirements about the application, and can help you out with this process of getting the loan. Okay. Now, actually, a brief about Impel Overseas. Impel is mainly into overseas education process. We process the entire admission, visa, and the post-visa guidance for 6 major countries that are USA, UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and Singapore. And Impel is professionally engaged into overseas consulting from the year 2006, and we have been successfully guiding the student in choosing their desired course and universities in the overseas countries. Okay, here I have a question from Mr. Abhishek Goyal. His question is, I am doing BTech in computer science from college. What are the options or fields which I can study abroad? Mr. Abhishek, computer science department has got huge number of options, variety of options in USA, Australia, Canada, and other countries. Because you are already done with your BTech computer science here, you can look for a master's degree in your desired specialization in computer science department from the universities abroad. You have to plan well ahead of the intake about the application process, keeping the things into consideration like the specialization you wanted to do in computer science, the budget with which you want to go ahead, I mean the tuition fees of the uh, university course and all, duration of program. That will help you understand what kind of preparation you have to deal with. And that way you can complete your studies abroad without any problem. Yeah. Here I have one more question from Mr. Himanshu. He wants to get admission into MS program in Germany, and his doubt is whether he have to sit for a GRE exam or not. Mr. Himanshu, the admission criteria in Germany is based on the academic merit of the students, and few universities in Germany do also require GRE scores from the student to decide upon the admission. Here we have to understand the importance of GRE exam for any student to get an enrollment into universities in USA or Germany or any other country. GRE, the full form GRE is Graduate Record Exam. Basically, GRE is the standard exam which an international student need to appear, and with the score from this exam, the universities will try to assess and evaluate the standing of that particular student in comparison to the students from different countries where they pass out from different universities with different examining structure and different examining patterns. So to bring all these international students into a unified measuring range, the GRE exam is designed, and the students will be assessed based on the scores to decide upon the rank. Here I have one more question from Deepak Mishra. He has got he has decided on a program in US, and he is planning to do his MBA, and the fees of the MBA is $27,000. But he needs a loan for about $13,000 as a unsecured loan. Is it possible? Yeah, I answered the same question before. Yes, up to 6 to 7 lakhs of unsecured loan is very much possible, but it all depends on the uh, the financial clarity of the profile of the parents and the people who are going to support you. Definitely, Credila is a bank which is professionally and purely engaged into education loan, can help you out to see that your process is done if you meet the required criteria. So here is an interesting question from Mr. Sandeep. This will be helpful for all the students to understand. Mr. Sandeep is trying to apply for a good university in USA. He is in a dilemma whether to go with TOEFL exam or IELTS exam. Here again, coming to the requirement of these exams, both TOEFL and IELTS exams are all English proficiency testing exams. Both IELTS and TOEFL test the English speaking, listening, and writing abilities of the international students. The importance of these exams, because the students who are planning to go and study in an English-speaking country from the countries where their national language is different and their mother tongue is different, they have to exhibit their English language proficiency through this test to the universities, so that the university understands the student profile and the English proficiency, and also comes to a conclusion that the student will not have any kind of further problems during the course and after the course. And coming to the relevancy of this test to US admission system, both TOEFL and IELTS exams are acceptable by the majority of the universities in the USA. Student can appear to any one of these tests and get the score and proceed for the admission process. So both the tests holds good for the admission process. Yeah, I have a question from Mr. Nikhil. He wants to know, can Impel help him in getting admission in Canada? Yes, Nikhil, Impel would be certainly very happy to assist you and help you understand what are the courses and university options you have got for your profile in Canada. And after looking at the possible options, and if you meet the required criteria of the concerned universities, we can definitely help you through the admission process. And I also want to make the students understand all the universities in the countries like USA, Canada, they they look for the student academics and scores like GRE and TOEFL before deciding upon the uh, admission criteria. So any student who is planning for these countries have to plan for these exams well before, because the GRE score, if the student appears for exam and gets a score, the score is valid for 5 years. So the student can sit for the exam 2 or 3 years before the actual intended year of enrollment in the university abroad. Both TOEFL and IELTS exams are valid for 2 years from the date when they get the scores. They are valid for 2 years, that is 24 months. Okay, here I have got one interesting question from a student. Uh, I won't be able to get good score in GRE. My academic performance would make a difference or not? Yes, certainly. Any student application is considered basing upon the merit of academics, scores like GRE and TOEFL put together. It's a combination of all these three things will decide during the admission of the student. Here is one more question, student. Maybe this will help students to understand. Here the student has completed his first 2 years of study of the bachelor's here in India, and his plans and intentions are to plan the remaining part of his bachelor's in universities abroad. Yes, certainly the universities do have this flexibility of enrolling the student in the programs where the credits of the students of the years which has done previously can be considered and carried forward. But it purely depends upon the kind of course the student is already into and the university from which he is currently pursuing. The university where he intends to get admitted will try to assess his credentials, the subjects what he has completed, and from there the relevant department will give the credit transfer system and the student will be allowed to start from the point where the department thinks that he can complete the bachelor's. Yes, the student exchange program is definitely possible. Yeah, here is one question about from Mr. Avinash. I got admission into University of Melbourne for the July intake. I had finished my bachelor's from National Institute of Technology, Jamshedpur, in civil with 8.28 CGPA and an IELTS score of 7.5. Will I be able to get any scholarship? Okay, looking into your profile, I understand that you got your final results after the application you have made it to University of Melbourne. But looking into the short period and short duration you are left out for the July intake, you can definitely send your academic documents, the complete academic documents to the university and request for a consideration for the scholarship. The university will be definitely happy to go through your application if time permits for your intake, and they'll consider your application for that. Here one more question from a student. I have completed 11 years in Manipal University, and for further I want to do my bachelor's program from any university abroad. The education system abroad is almost similar to the system what we have in India. The higher education is till 12 years of education, including primary and then higher. So for any student to get enrolled into bachelor program, they have to complete the stipulated given 12 years of education, with which they'll get the eligibility to get into a proper bachelor's program. So what I suggest you is rather complete your 12th year education here in India, and during this 12th year you try to find out what course and what universities will suit your requirements, and then proceed with the admission process followed by enrolling into the university. That will help you in getting the qualifications in a proper way. One more question from a student. Is there a possibility of getting scholarship in an Australian university if I get really good score in TOEFL and score in bachelor's? Yes, definitely. The Australian universities do offer a range of merit scholarships and international student bursaries for the students who are applying for their universities. Universities in Australia would love to encourage students basing on their academic merits and their interest in particular fields of education. They will encourage the students with scholarships and international student funds. Okay, there is one student who has a question about bank loan. His question is, how could I get a loan since I couldn't show any collateral security, but my father earns a decent amount of more than 10 lakhs per annum? Yeah, here actually now the modern banks have understood the importance of the money spent on education will help the student to attain a better career perspective and all. And the modern banks like Credila and all will be more than happy to consider the application, and basing upon your choice of program and university, they will definitely consider your application and try try to help out with required amount of loans if your application terms and other conditions meet their criteria. Please contact Credila team. You can have more and better advice on that. I have one more question. One of the students have enrolled into their first year of bachelor's here, but somehow wanted to go abroad for further continuation of bachelor's. Yes, if you have already done 1 year of bachelor's here in India, definitely you can consider an option of choosing a foreign destination for further continuing your bachelor's. But the admission and the process of admission will purely depend on the decision of the particular university which you wanted to get enrolled into, where the credit evaluation will be done by the concerned department and the international admission team. We will be more than happy to assist you. Okay, here is very interesting question from one of the audience. When should we appoint an academic counselor for helping us through the admission process for MS in USA? MS in USA, we all know the admission process is a bit more lengthy than in any other country, because the admission process may take anywhere between 6 months to 1 year. Depends upon the kind of university the student wants to get enrolled. So here, when should a student approach an academic counselor or an academic career counselor for his process guidance? A student can approach an admission counselor as early as when they are in their 3rd year of studies. I mean, a pre-final year of their studies, because that is the time when the student have to understand what is the kind of course and what is the kind of university that will suit their choice and their preference. And moreover, they will have a better understanding about the education system in the country where they desire to get enrolled into. So a student can approach an academic counselor as early as at least a year ahead to the intended intake of admission, where a student admission counselor and the student and also the parents can understand the admission criteria, financial requirements, preparation for admission, and post-admission process well in advance. This will also help them to plan their required budget finances and also approach the banks for the loan process, where they will properly be in a position to get themselves enrolled into the proper intakes as per their plans. So at least a year before the intake date should be a proper time to plan their process. Okay, there is one more question. The student is very keen to know. He wants to know which country is best to do for doing a masters in science. Actually, here we, we cannot compare any country with the other countries uh, with the standards, because every university and every country has got their own merits and standards in their relevant areas. Like for computer science and any technical related thing, US has been the favorite destination for all the students. Similarly, for management programs and for other technical programs, along with US, countries like Australia, UK, and Canada are equally popular and are gaining a lot of popularity these years. So we have to understand what program and what kind of specializations we want to get, and then related to that we should assess and understand the strengths of the particular university or the school before fixing upon the university and start the application process. Here I have one more question from a student. He is already in the US and doing his masters. He has completed one semester, but he wants to shift to other university, the credit transfers which he is already holding. Yeah, you can definitely check for the university which is ready to give you a valid admit, that is a valid I-20 for the next intake, and also considering your previous credits which you have transferred. With a valid I-20, you can submit an application to the university, and then with the help of international student advisor in your university, you can complete the process of the transfer from the university to the other university of your choice. Yeah, now with the for the USA students, with the current fall intake students are on the way to their visas and all. The students who are planning for their future intakes for February and the fall 2014 have already started their application process, and they are shortlisting the universities to which they wanted to apply. So the students who are planning ahead at least a year or more than a year will stand good chance to get the admission in time, and also get a proper chance to apply for the scholarship by universities. So we suggest to students to plan at least a year before if they are planning to study in USA for their higher education. Here I have one question from the student. Does the past university in which I am studying will affect my admission abroad? The ranking of the university in which you are studying or the standard of the university will affect your admission prospects in the university abroad to a certain extent. But ultimately, as we discussed before, the application is processed with a combination of academics scores and also the relevant test scores which are required. Say, for example, for USA, a university will take uh, the student's profile and things like the academic score and the GRE scores and the English test scores into consideration and makes up the decision. One more student has a question. For a post-graduation program, at what stage should one start checking for financial assistance? Maybe with this question I understand that at what stage a student should check for their bank loans and further process related to finance. Yeah, here actually what I would suggest you is for any overseas education, the finances or the budget planning plays a very important role. So planning your finances along with your admission would be a proper idea. And I suggest a student to plan about their finances and the channel or the sources from which they want to fund their education right from the time when they are planning for the admission abroad. Because if they have their application evolved or if the application process with the bankers about the education loan, then they will have enough confidence to further proceed for the admissions abroad. So, actually now, before closing the session, I wanted to tell the students that choosing a course and university and also a country where to study your higher education is a process, and the decision is so important that you should allow yourself enough time and approach the proper experts and the people in the industry to have the guidance and to have the inputs for your decision making. And also simultaneously you should be well prepared with the funds and financial parts of the process so that the next 2 years or the next duration of study in the overseas university should not be of any difficulty, because the 2 years you spend there during the study, you should be focusing on your program and attain the qualification, which will be a lifelong learning in the international universities and help you attain international skill set, and that will help you have better job prospects in that country or back home in your home country. So, any more questions you are allowed to ask me? I'll be more than happy to answer you. Here is one more question from a student. Maybe this will be helpful to the student. Are there any charges if a student takes disbursement of loan prior clearing the GMAT or IELTS and then fails to secure admission? Generally, in any conventional process, the bank will only sanction the loan before the visa process. With the basis of admission, the bank will sanction the loan, and then further on visa, the bank will disburse the loan. But in certain cases, basing on the admission, the banks will release to an extent amount if required. That is purely uh, if the applicant is meeting the criteria of the banker and um, submitting the relevant documents. Hope I could clear your doubt. For admission in USA, a student wants to know what would be a proper score in GRE. A GRE score of around 300 plus out of 340 should hold good for any student. But you may require a higher GRE score or better than 300 if you are intending to get admitted into top universities in the respective country. But for Australia, the majority of the universities ask for only the English proficiency, and GRE is not mandatory for the universities to get admission for international students into technical higher studies like computer science or electronics. Yeah, here a student wants to know what would be the approximate tuition fees to study in Australia for masters. Yeah, generally any student who is planning to do their masters in Australia, the average tuition fees ranges from $32,000 to $42,000 or $45,000 normal. But a few universities courses may go up even further more. But on average, a student should be prepared with anything around 40,000 Australian dollars for the entire duration of program. And the education system in Australia is semester based. So a master program will have 4 semesters. So that is closely to 10,000 Australian dollars per semester. Again with USA, yes, USA again have got a similar duration of master program, which is close to 2 years, depending upon the credits the student completes. Based on the credits, the student fees may range anywhere between $25,000 to $40,000 for a normal average university. The student has to plan something around $35,000 tuition fees if they are planning to study in USA. Okay, so the current session actually, I think I have answered the majority of your doubts, and on this occasion, I would like to thank the Credila team for giving an opportunity to interact with students who are planning or in the mid of their process of studying abroad, and all the best for the students who are trying to get their admissions or who are in their visa process for their futures. And I would like to thank Credila once again for giving the opportunity. Thank you once again.